Hello there, welcome to Saxon Algebra 1/2 second edition, lesson 42. And lesson 42 is on overall average. Overall average means not just finding the average of a few numbers, but finding the overall average. Okay, so the average of the averages is seldom the overall average. So suppose we have 10 numbers and the first three are 3, 4, and 5. And the average of the first three numbers is 4. Okay, so 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Suppose those last 7 numbers are 7, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, and 9. The average of those numbers is 8. The average of the first 3 is 4. The average of the other 7 is 8. We cannot find the overall average by finding the average of the average. In other words, you can't say 4 plus 8, the two averages, divided by 2, because that comes out to 6, and that's just not right. So what we have to do is we have to add the sum of all 10 numbers. Alright, and when we do that, we get 68, and then we divide that by the 10, and we see that we get 6.8. Alright, so it gives us a first example is the average of the first two numbers was 6. Well, what was the total of the first two numbers? We would say 2 times 6 is 12. The average of the next 8 numbers was 20. What was the total of the next 8 numbers? Well, if the average was 20, it had to be 20 times 8, which is 160. So we would add 160 plus that 12, and we would get 172. And let's see, there are 10 numbers in all, so 172 divided by 10 is 17.2 would be the overall average. Okay? Alright, so here we've done it. I've done it for you, in other words. And this is what I think it would be good for you to write down in your notes. We're going to look at another one. The average price of the first 4 items was $40, and the next 6 items was $80. So we need to find an overall average price. Alright, so we have 4 items that average 40. So we're going to say, 40 times 4, that's 160. Alright, the next 6 items was 80, so we say 80 times 6 is 480. Alright, so forget about those now. We've got 10 items all together, and they have a sum of 640. When we divide 640 by 10, we get an average of $64 was the overall average of all 10 items. Okay, so since this lesson only had one practice problem, I thought we would do the one from your lesson, which is number 1, together. So this one's a little bit more involved. It says that the first shift lasted 4 hours and produced 800 units per hour. Second shift is a 6-hour shift that produced 600 units per hour. The third shift is a 4-hour shift that produced 400 units per hour. What was the average number of units per hour for the entire period? Now this is something that in real life, if you were an industrial engineer and you were trying to figure out cost per unit to charge a customer, how much is it going to cost you to make and produce it, you would need to be able to figure this out. So let's take a crack at it, shall we? Alright, we have 4 hours 800 per hour for a total of 3,200 units. Second shift is a 6-hour, and they produce 600 units per hour for a total of 3,600. The third shift is another 4-hour shift, and they only produce 400 an hour for a total of 1,600. How many hours do we have all together? We have 14 hours for the period. What is our sum here? 0, 0, 6 and 6 is 12 plus 2 is 14. Carry the 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 8,400. Alright, so we have 8,400 units total produced in a period of 14 hours. So 14 will go into 84. Let's see, 14, 28, 42, 56, 60, 56, 70, 84. It'll go exactly 6 times, and then we'll put 0 here and 0 here. So the overall average was 600 units per hour. All right, good job. Again, if you don't worry about some of these more difficult lessons, don't worry about it. You'll get it eventually. You're only going to do 1 or 2 per lesson, so just do the best you can. Ask for help when you need it. I'll see you tomorrow for lesson 43.